Floyd died Monday after a now former Minneapolis police officer knelt on his neck during an arrest. 4 officers have been fired from that police department, and one man, Derek Chauvin, has been charged with third-degree murder.
This is a still image from video taken of the arrest, and we're choosing to no longer air this video or that video because we understand that it's disturbing to many of our viewers and shows the moments before Floyd died. Protesters are demanding the other 3 officers involved face charges. It started a conversation about excessive force policing. News4Jax reporter Marilyn Parker is joining us live in Maryland. We're learning early reports on Floyd's autopsy don't show that he died from asphyxiation.
Right. The report says there is no physical finding that supports a diagnosis of traumatic asphyxia, but it says a combination of force and health problems contributed to the death. The family now getting a private autopsy done, which will play a major role in this case. The question of how police handle situations using force is being called out by people here locally and those involved in the case. Multiple groups are speaking up about the George Floyd case. The Associated Press reporting Floyd's autopsy shows he did not die from being strangled, but from pre-existing conditions heightened by being held down by a police officer. Isaiah Rumlin, the president of the Jacksonville's branch of the NAACP, says the officer's force was deadly.
What do you have to say about the results from the autopsy that have been released?
Regardless of what the autopsy is saying, the officer put his knee in Mr. Floyd's neck and murdered him.
The AP also reporting Officer Derek Chauvin allegedly disregarded another officer who wanted to roll Floyd onto his side as he was being held down. Chauvin now charged with third-degree murder and manslaughter, a charge many are saying isn't enough and question the training of these officers. This statement from the family of George Floyd and their attorney says in part, quote, "We need the city of Minneapolis and cities across the country to fix the policies and training deficiencies that permitted this unlawful killing," end quote. Jacksonville's Fraternal Order of Police posted this to their Facebook page. They say, quote, "His actions were below not only what our standards are in our profession, but what we expect of ourselves as humans," end quote.
These officers, be it sensitivity training or whatever, I mean, they have so much adrenaline going through them when they try to arrest someone. I mean, it's just ridiculous the way they use excessive force sometimes.
And coming up at 11, hear what a lawyer says about that third-degree charge and how other officers involved in this case could see charges and how the defense could be preparing their case. We're live in Jacksonville tonight. Marilyn Parker, Channel 4, the local station.
What's happening, everybody? All right. Yeah. Jan Thorogood. How we doing? Lufa? Mignon? Lori A? Sandy Jersey Girl? It's good to see you again. Rockabilly Daisy. Wicked Witch. Joan Brown. Hey, how you doing? It's good to see you. Still here. Glad you're still here. And hold on. Who else we got up in here? Sleeping Beauty. Susie Pops. Norma Thomas. D. Cause. Rockabilly Daisy. Cynthia. Pomar Rodriguez. Pomar Rodriguez y Rodriguez. All right. Oh shit, Susie Pops, I'm sorry. That sucks. Shit, I'm really sorry that you got fired. That's a bummer. I hope it wasn't because you were watching my live stream. I've gotten written up at work for watching YouTubers live streams. That's a fact. That's actually happened before. But yeah, guys. So yeah, a lot of strong feelings being thrown around, a lot of tension going on. It seems like there's a major city that's erupting every hour or so. I mean, this is spreading. This is not getting much better at all. And it's there's a lot of questions about that, which I'm going to explore here too. Now, fair warning, guys, I'm not real political. I'm actually kind of anti-political, really. I like people who know me well and know me personally. I post a lot of politically related stuff on my Facebook page, on my personal one, not the glare one, but I post some personal. On my personal page, I post some politically oriented posts, most definitely. But I do not. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty anti-political for the most part. And as a matter of fact, I don't know much about it because it really just doesn't really interest me all that much. Much like true crime, it interests me to a certain degree. But what fascinates me is the behavior that it tends to inspire. So the same thing with politics. I definitely fascinated by how people tend to either just jump on a bandwagon or and people who don't know what the hell they're talking about, they tend to just jump on a bandwagon. And we're possibly seeing something right now where that being the case has become extremely dangerous. I've always been afraid of this happening, but I'm at the point now where I'm seeing it realized. I'm seeing it manifest itself into reality. So I'm very, very concerned about this right now. And we're going to go over some of that stuff. And some of you may not like it, but sorry, I'm not here to tell you guys what I think you'll like. I'm here to tell you what I think about certain things. And hopefully you can just accept my opinion as I would accept yours. Again, that reminds me that I'm going to go ahead and give this little warning here, as I did last night. Understand, guys, this is Highlander holy ground, baby. There's no fighting here. Everybody's opinions are welcome. Everybody's opinions. You have the right to free speech in this chat. And all I ask is that you respect other people's opinions here. You may not like them, but you will respect them. If you cannot, then you are not welcome in my chat. And I cannot be any more clear about that. Caleb, what's up, buddy? Gail B, how we doing? Stacy C, Mrs. Nevins, go Hogs. Yeah, it's getting ugly, baby. It's definitely getting ugly. Now, sorry guys, I put everything together in a rush. I got off work at 9. And I'm not going to complain much about my day, but I am going to say that it was challenging and it has put me in a bit of a iffy mood. So, but I already feel better, considering I made my coffee. I've prepped, so to speak, and I am, and I get to hang out with you guys, and that always makes me feel a little bit better. So if not a lot better. As a matter of fact, I feel a lot better now that I'm here hanging out with you guys. So I'm glad you're here. Hey, what's up, Danette Costa? Norma Thomas. I think I already said hi to you. And Firefly, how's it going? Yes. Scary, scary times, Firefly. Absolutely. Very scary times. Roiki Poignant. I don't know where the hell you all come up with these names, man. I have Kimmy Monster, what's up? Now, exactly. Caleb said it best. If you do not agree with Caleb's opinions, I have wrenched my man Caleb quite a while ago, and he has the power. So I'm telling y'all right now, if you guys don't like what Caleb has to say and you don't agree with everything that he has to say, he has my permission to time you out. I'm just kidding, Caleb. Don't do that. Breakfast Club fan, how's it going? So yeah, we're not doing that here, guys. We're not doing we don't do that here at the Glare. We don't start whining and become keyboard warriors up in here and start hating on people. And we'll leave that for the protesters, rioters, and looters. Let them do that. Here we behave civilly. Here we live in a utopia that I have created, the kind of utopia that I would like to see everywhere around me, as a matter of fact. But here I get to dictate the rules, and here we get to live in a very, very wonderful utopia where freedom of speech reigns, and you get to say and think whatever you want, and it is completely up to you on how you handle it. So if you cannot handle someone else's feelings or opinions or passionate convictions about how they feel about certain things, then you are in the wrong channel. So now, guys, we have, oh man, there was one thing that I was supposed to pull up and I completely forgot, and it's the one page that takes forever to load. So I'm sorry about that, guys. Give me a second here, and I'm going to pull that up. And it's actually an article that was shared with me. And we are, guys, I'm really glad that we, no, that's not it. I'm really glad that, that this group of people is, that we come from a true crime community, because it's going to be easier to try to understand and realistically predict, how things can go. And there's a lot of different directions that this can go, people. And this is a fact. So I'm going to read this article here. Well, I'm just going to read the bullet points of it. A criminal complaint against former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin, who we all know has been fired. It shows that George Floyd was non-responsive for nearly 3 minutes before Chauvin took his knee off his neck. So for 3 minutes, and we all watched this video on this channel. And again, and I think I agree with that news reporter. I don't see any reason to go over that video again. If you feel the need to watch the video again, feel free to go back 2 lives ago and watch it. 2 live streams ago that I did, and watch it and make your own judgment. But I do not feel the need to play it and relive it over and over again. We know the facts, and we're going to go over some of those facts. But it also says here that the complaint also cited a preliminary autopsy report that showed there were no physical findings that support a diagnosis of traumatic asphyxia or strangulation. So it says instead, Floyd died from a combined effect of being restrained, his underlying health conditions, and any potential intoxicants in his system, the autopsy revealed. Chauvin was arrested and charged with third-degree murder and manslaughter on Friday. So when this autopsy was released, or at least I'm guessing that his arrest was a result of this autopsy. I guess they were waiting for those results to come back before they knew what to charge him with. And I'm guessing that this explains these autopsy reports explain the third-degree murder charge that people do not, and manslaughter charge that people do not feel is sufficient enough. And I agree, because I know what I saw, and I think we all know what we saw, and where we're at right now, people, is we have cities burning. We have people that are very, very, very angry, and there are people who are rightfully angry. And we have people who are, again, just kind of jumping on a bandwagon and just kind of following the leader here. And I want to urge anyone who has kids or family members of a younger generation or whatever generation who you happen to know are out there, please, get a hold of them and please urge them to come home, because at this point, a protest, and I'm afraid of saying this because I'm not sure. I'm just kind of talking here, but I'm not sure that a peaceful protest at this point is going to be heard or taken as anything else than a threat, since it has become violent in most of these cities. These things have become violent. So I feel like everyone is going to be looked at, no matter what their intentions are, and they're going to be lumped up with everything that's going on, and everyone is going to be considered a threat, just out of sheer safety. You have law enforcement out there, SWAT, and you have riot. You have the cops in riot gear, and what they're doing is they're basically prepared for the worst. And so what's going to inevitably happen is they are going to look at everyone else as an enemy, especially when it's a crowd screaming things like "fuck the police," and their anger is directed at the police. And it doesn't even matter what city they're in. It doesn't even matter which department is responsible or which particular officers are responsible for George Floyd's death. So what's happening here is it's just a big, ugly mess. And I believe that the point has become lost. And I'm very, very scared about that. So anybody who happens to know family, now you're basically just looking at what could break out into an all-out war in the streets, and a war in the streets of police versus people armed with clubs, bottles, stones, armed against trained men and women with guns, and lethal weapons. You're looking at a slaughter. You're looking at a potential slaughter, because at this point, they have every reason to feel threatened as a whole. And so anyone who's contributing to this is going to be viewed as a threat. So I urge anyone that's listening to this right now and knows someone who's in one of these cities and protesting, because I don't think they're going to call mom and tell mom that they just threw a Molotov cocktail through a cop car window. So if you're sitting at home and you're saying, oh, well, not my Stevie would never do anything like that. He's just out there with a sign. And he's singing Kumbaya and saying give peace a chance. Probably not. Little Stevie is probably just as angry as anyone else, or little Stevie is is just jumping on a very, very dangerous bandwagon that he doesn't understand the potential of how dangerous that bandwagon is and how dangerous it is to be on that bandwagon, especially not fully understanding what it's capable of and what the outcome could be. So I urge you to please ask your children to come home, or your family members to come home or go home. So please, seriously, because I'm concerned about everyone's safety. I'm concerned about the men and women who put on a uniform that signed up simply to just protect people. Men and women who put on a uniform, really, honestly, just to give out traffic tickets, and probably didn't understand the full potential of what they have to do when they get out there. I'm sure there's a couple of those out there too, depending on the city you live in, depending on, you know, we've got all shapes and sizes is my point, people. And not everybody out there has an agenda of hurting someone, but make no mistake, there's an overall air to everything that's happening. And that overall air are violent mob versus police. That's what's happening right now. So, and I want to talk about something here real quick. I want to address something. Last night, there was someone in my chat. She's probably not here now because she was very, very upset. And I kind of just took what she was saying with a grain of salt, honestly, because of her demeanor and the way that she delivered her message. She was in my chat. She kept saying, I know what I saw, blah, 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 blah. And she got really upset that I wasn't taking her seriously, it seemed like. Or at least, and things can be misconstrued when reading text rather than hearing them. But I'm going to go ahead and read her comment from last night's live. I'm going to go ahead and read the comment here. If I can find it. Here we go. Hold on, guys. Hold on. All right. So Betsy B last night left a comment, and she was in chat. Many of you may have remembered her, and I addressed her comment at one point, or that she left in chat, but she left a comment in the comments for this one. And it says here, I tried to tell you what I witnessed from my own balcony last night, 1 block from the CNN Center in Atlanta. That was an organized attempt to wreak havoc in our city. I spoke to several people on the edges of the crowd that wanted to go home because they weren't down with what was going on. Both said they were given money and driven to Marietta Street where they could break into CNN. So according to Betsy B, some people that she spoke to basically admitted to this to her, and basically kind of backed out at the last minute, said, sure, I'll take the money. And then when they got to that point, they were like, no, I'm not down for this. I'm not doing this. So she continues to say, if you got a little annoyed here. She says, if you don't want to hear what I saw on the ground in front of my eyes, then that's fine. Not my problem. Just know Atlanta kicked Antifa, Black Lives Matter, professional agitators out of our city. This had nothing to do with the murder of George Floyd and everything to do with these thug anarchist groups trying to bring chaos wherever they can. That's why you didn't see riots in the other cities until 3 days later. Blacks run Atlanta. We have a thriving Black middle class and many, many Black entrepreneurs. We have a rich history of peaceful protests, and it is the proud, in all caps, home of Dr. King. I'm a native Atlantean, and in my 50 years, there has never been riots here. So believe whatever you want, but the truth will come out that these protests were organized and they took vulnerable people, including the homeless, and hijacked Mr. Floyd's murder for their own agenda. I saw the flags and signs. Don't be a fool. Unless you're down with the chaos, they screwed up coming to our city. You're probably too afraid people will come after you on social media. Whatever, dude. I'm quoting what I'm reading here. She said, whatever, dude. So as much as I'm clowning her a little bit in her delivery here in this comment, I'm not clowning what she's saying, because she's not the only person I've heard this from. And people that I very much respect and are very, very intelligent have spoken of this. And the Attorney General of the United States has said this. So what's happening right now is you have to understand that even if that's true or not, let's be abundantly clear, people. If you are involved or you have strong feelings or wish you could be involved, unfortunately, the ship has sailed when it came to doing protests against Officer Chauvin, or former Officer Chauvin. The ship has sailed on that. Now it's political, because let's be honest, people. Any grand scheme event, any huge event that takes place in this country months before an election takes place, guess what? If the people who stand to benefit by making it political can make it political, they're gonna make it political, and they have. So it is now a political issue. It was once a simple civil rights issue, and a very serious civil rights issue. I don't mean to downplay how serious it is, because that's not what I'm doing. But I'm being completely honest here when I'm trying to tell you that it is no longer just a civil rights issue. It is now a political issue. It has become that way, just as the COVID-19 thing became a political issue. COVID-19 and the quarantines have divided this country. The left feels their way, the right feels their way. Now the differences of opinion regarding COVID-19 are whether the left feels one way versus what the right feels. That's what we've got. That's where we're at right now, right? And the same thing has happened with George Floyd, and it's a shame. It's a shame that this man's memory has been reduced to this. It is a shame that this man's memory has been reduced to this. We had an opportunity, people. We had an opportunity to show the world that we can make a difference just by simply speaking out. We have the internet, and we have our bodies and our minds and our voices to stand up and speak out on the things that we feel passionate about. And in numbers, being able to organize and deliver this message in a rational, responsible manner would have spoken much more loudly than violence in the street. I truly, honestly believe that. The message would have gotten through much more loudly, because now the message has disappeared like a fart in the wind. The message is no longer there. Now it is simply these people versus these people. That's where we're at. And it's a damn shame. And guess what, guys? Following true crime the way that we do, we know that a good lawyer can take that autopsy report and spin it. We know it. We all know it, guys. A good lawyer can take that autopsy report and just spin it. And who knows what kind of lawyer this guy can get? Who knows what kind of lawyer the other three can get? And here's another fact, guys. Here's another fact that nobody's really taken into consideration. Everybody's mindset right now is what? 4 cops versus a black guy. Racially motivated, right? Well, how does that hold up in court when it's probably the most diverse, racially diverse group of 4 police officers that I've ever seen? How's that going to hold up in court if you're saying it's a racially motivated crime when the 3 other officers helped? How are you going to spin that? You had an Asian, a Latino, a white cop, and yeah, an African-American cop. So what do you think a good defense attorney is going to do and say in court? Racially motivated hate crime. How does that make any sense? Look at the officers in question. If I was a good lawyer, that would be easy. Well, look at the officers in question. How can you possibly call this a hate crime? That makes no sense. And yes, Rosemarie, I was going to get to that too. Thank you for pointing that out. So the right thing to do here is George Floyd's family is getting a private autopsy done, which is the way to go. I wouldn't trust. Hell no, man. There's no way I would trust that autopsy report. There's no way there's no way in hell that I would ever just accept that autopsy report after what I saw with my own eyes. Nah, you're not going to just shove that down my throat and I'm going to swallow it. That's not going to happen. Not with what I saw with my own eyes. No way. We all saw it, people. We all saw this Chauvin piece of shit. We saw this guy put his knee on Mr. Floyd's neck until he stopped moving, until he stopped breathing. I saw it with my own two eyes. I know you did too. We're going to get to all right, folks. Let's see what's going on here in LA, huh?
Rodeo in Santa Monica, just to give you a ground look. That's about as close as I can get. But most people have cleared this area and they have Beverly Hills pretty well locked down. But I can see a police cruiser about to pass me right now. It looks like they may be headed back to the Gucci store after that report.
This is where we're at, guys.
It's still a very active scene here, Mark and Ellen, even though
this is where we're at, guys.
Like people had cleared out. They went back.
The police right now, they feel threatened. People are throwing things and setting on fire police cars, trying to storm police precincts. This is something I've never seen in my lifetime. All of these violent protests happening all over the country. This is unheard of.
There's just graffiti up and down this part of Beverly Hills right now, and you can just tell by judging, looking at these officers' faces, they know they're in for a long night. I'll send it back to you guys.
Wow,
Caleb.
that is an incredible sight. And of course, you have the economic divide now with the economy the way it is. So
That's funny as hell.
So many different issues making for heated.
I mean, he's local, dude. He's not trying to win an Emmy. He's low.
It's pretty amazing. So we're seeing that from his perspective. Let's go to Chris Christie. He is live over what is still, I believe, the Fairfax district, or is that Melrose that you're over now? Chris?
Mark, we're back over in Fairfax. This is just down the block from Cantor's Deli. You're looking at Rosewood in Fairfax. A trash fire being set and looting is rampant all along Fairfax from points north of Cantor's Deli where there is a police skirmish line and the order has been given to begin making.
I mean, if I'm looting, guys, if I'm looting and I'm in LA, I'm hitting up Beverly Hills. Let's be real. You know, I don't mean to make jokes of it, but I mean, it's the truth. If I'm if I'm in LA, you know, I'm looting where the smart people are looting if I'm a looter. Which I wouldn't be a looter, but if I were a looter, I'm looting where the stuff that I can sell for the most money is going to be, and that's going to be on Rodeo Drive in Beverly Hills. So let's be real, guys.
Skirmish line, and then behind the arrest team is a fire truck that's prepared to put out not just one but several trash fires. The trash fires are mainly in the middle of the street, so we don't see any structures on fire at this point over here, but clearly they are getting off on lighting things on fire in the middle of the street and then running away. But still, you can see a pretty large crowd up and down Fairfax as they begin to make arrests here in the next few minutes.
Yeah, I was watching people just dump stuff on that fire. It's like becoming a bigger bonfire as we speak.
Yeah, and what we should keep in mind here, if there's loot, you know, we talk about looting going on up and down these streets. These aren't big, you know, if this is some kind of anti-capitalist statement or whatever it is they're trying to make, they're not going to make it by looting mom and pop type establishments. They're not going to make that statement or make that point by looting a guitar store.
And I agree with this reporter, and he feels passionate, man.
Is just wanton destruction of property,
right?
And people's livelihoods. People who have been suffering for months, not being able to work, not being able to be open for business, and finally this week being told that yes, it's safe to reopen. Go ahead and allow customers back in your store, and then this happens. So this is really a situation where you can imagine the dismay. You can imagine the.
This is the nail on the coffin for those businesses, man. Think about it. All these businesses that haven't been allowed to be open because of this. This is the nail on the coffin. And guys, what do I always say, guys? Type in chat. What is the answer to 99 out of 100 questions, people? What do I always say? Who stands to benefit? And when I was on a live stream, talking about which I got the copyright blocked on it. And I wonder if that was the case. We'll see if that happens with this one. But I'm playing by the rules here. So I'm telling you, what is the answer to 99 out of 100 questions? Who stands to benefit, baby? And right now, you heard this guy say the mom and pop shops. Right? The mom and pop shops are suffering. So what if, people? What if I was a conspiracy theorist, which I'm not, but what if I was a conspiracy theorist? The best possible conspiracy theory that I could possibly come up with is the large corporations are looking to push all their competition out. They're looking to monopolize at this point. That's it. They're tired of any little competition. The large corporations, the ones that control the media, the ones that sponsor the media, the commercials that you see on TV. Because let me tell you something, folks. Make no mistake. When you watch a TV show or a movie on television with commercials, you're not watching a TV show or a movie with commercials. You're watching commercials with a TV or a movie. That is exactly a fact, period, point blank. That is what you're getting. Because if it weren't for the sponsors, you wouldn't be able to watch those TV shows. They wouldn't be produced. All that money that goes to the actors comes from those corporations. That goes to the directors, that goes to the sets, that goes to the lighting, that goes to the permission to play movies. Guys, we're looking at a serious change in this country right now. The only question at this point is, how severe is it going to be? Is there going to be a lot of bloodshed? There's already too much bloodshed. The question is, how much bloodshed is there going to be? Because I'm telling you right now, people, the rules are about to change. And it's a question of which direction those rules are going to change. Which direction is that going to go? Scary, man. Scary. Because I'm telling you, this isn't about George Floyd anymore. And I really wish it was. I really wish it was, because I am for those protesters. I am for the protesters who are protesting peacefully. I am for them. I support them 150%. But I do not support the looting and the violence. I do not support that kind of behavior. That's irrational behavior, people. That's illogical behavior, people. There's no logic behind that. When people say violence begets more violence, that's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. My hometown right now, my hometown, Miami, Florida, it is right now in the same state as all these other cities. And let me tell you something, man. Miami cops, they don't play. There's too much money in Miami. Miami does not want that kind of damage. And Miami cops will put you down.
We're going to check right now. We're going to leave you and check in with Chris Christie, because he's over some looting that's happening on, I believe it's a Melrose, is it?
Yeah, we're along Melrose now, not far from that fire near Spalding, that vacant storefront that we showed you, which is still being put out. But the stores now down the block along Melrose all being looted, and this happens to be a nail salon. If I was a betting man, I would say they've managed to pull a safe out of that nail salon and are trying to pry open that safe. That's a guess on my part. Obviously, you can see there's a lot of people that are kind of obstructing the view there, but they're trying to break into something. I'm going to guess that they're...
That's a nail salon, people. That's somebody's business. That's somebody's dream. That's somebody's dream, and who knows what's in that safe. And if they're smart, they're good. If they're smart, which it's looking like they're not very smart at all. And if they're working people, if they're people that knew anything about running a business whatsoever, well, guess what? Business owners are prepared for things like this to a certain degree. To a certain degree, business owners are prepared for things like this. And if you're smart, and if you're a smart business owner and you're a smart business manager, what you do is you empty that safe every night and you take a deposit to the safe with a buddy to make sure that that deposit goes into the bank safely. That is what you do in order to avoid any occasion that resembles this.
Looting here along Melrose.
And that's obviously just a mom and pop store that has been hurting financially for the last 3 months anyway. And here you have this and
smashing the windows. LAPD right now appears to be preoccupied with the trash fire over on Fairfax, where there had to be at least 100 officers that were preparing to make an arrest. Looks like, let's go back to that. Go back to the safe, because I have a feeling they're all running there now, and they've been able to pry open the safe.
Can anybody answer me this question? What the hell does this have to do with George Floyd? What does this do for the memory of George Floyd? Yeah, that's a safe, all right, guys. That's definitely a safe, and they're trying to break into this thing. What did he just try to break that thing with? What is he trying to break this thing with? That's not a safe, though. That's an ATM machine. Can you see that? That's an ATM machine. There's definitely probably cash in there. And there could be nothing in there. Could be that there was no point. Could be that there was no point of putting cash in here if that business has been closed for the last 3 months, right?
Yeah, this is obviously taking a turn that is much larger and far from George Floyd's cause and the tragic, senseless death in Minnesota. This is taking on a whole new life of its own, and these are not the protesters that were flooding Penn Pacific Park this morning.
No signs there. It's all people. These guys are just looting, and they're going to break through this. What is this? Japan, LA. It's a little retailer there on Melrose. It's a small little shop. You can tell.
Right now, my heart is breaking for the store owner of that location watching this live on the news. Right now, my heart's breaking for that small business owner. You know, and it's real funny because you got people that feel like, oh, well, you know, it's money, and why do you care about money, and blah, blah, blah. Well, unfortunately, we need money to live, people. Unfortunately, we need money to feed our families. And somebody who hasn't worked their fingers to the bone to achieve that dream of owning their own small business and being happy with the income that it brings in. Somebody who's never understood what that is, man, they're never gonna, you know, look at that. That's a bunch of people who just don't care, who've probably never worked a day in their lives and just don't care. And that has nothing to do with their skin color. That has to do with their behavior. It's what I'm looking at with my eyes right now. I'm looking at people who think that it's okay to just destroy somebody's dreams. And my heart breaks for those store owners. My heart breaks for them. I mean, these could have been, those store owners could have been immigrants who escaped a dictatorship, and their dream was to move here to the United States to live in one of the most, to establish a footprint, to become an established entrepreneur on one of the most luxurious places to shop in the world. And who knows what they went through to achieve that dream? Who knows what they went through to achieve this and make a life for themselves and create a family And all of that, or just whatever that little business generated financially is what made that possible. That and some backbone and some elbow grease and a little shrewd business mind, a little bit of a shrewd business sense, guts.
Hate crimes around election time, and this is coming during a period where our intergroup relations, our race relations, and our socio-political relations are more frayed than they've been in decades.
And Levin also says that research shows Americans are not only the most splintered we've seen in decades, that we're more entrenched in that polarization than ever before, and that's apparent.
Yeah, and what, the police chief alluded to that before. He said that it appears there are organized groups that are part of this unrest that are taking advantage and who are using it for their own ends, and it could be the left and the right that have decided to foment this incredible discord that we're seeing here. Chris Christie, you are live. Fairfax, that building there, the National Conference of Jewish Women, I believe, that building on the corner there. And here is another building that's being looted. Is this a shoe store? Yep, I think that is.
My bad, guys. Sorry about that. I'm gonna say something here that that may not be very popular, and I saw on Facebook people on the far left that are comparing, when these white rednecks stood in front of the governor or stood in front of the Capitol in Michigan carrying guns, the cops didn't do anything. But, here the cops are ready to kill people and shooting tear gas. Man, you cannot compare. You cannot compare those situations, because the behavior is different. And I'm not talking about white people versus anybody else. I'm saying that the protesters for quarantines, the protesters that were protesting against quarantines, what they were doing, yes, they were armed, but there was no violence. There was no violence. There's violence here. There's violence all over the country, and they're not carrying guns. But you're going to compare people who are carrying guns and not behaving violently to people who aren't carrying guns, but in mobs behaving violently and stealing, looting, destroying people's livelihoods. Come on, guys. There's no comparison. Now, here's the thing. I follow a guy, I forgot his name actually, but he leads a movement called Black Guns Matter. Yeah. And I like this guy. And I just discovered him. So I don't really, I just started really paying attention to him recently. But he's a libertarian. I'm not. I don't label myself libertarian, but I definitely lean. If you had to label me left or right, the best thing to describe me is I lean towards libertarian, but I'm not libertarian necessarily. There's things about being a libertarian that I don't necessarily agree with, but I do definitely lean in that direction for the most part. I believe in liberty, and it's important to me. Liberty is extremely important to me. And exercising my liberties, to me, is the most important thing to do when you believe in liberty. It's the most important thing to do in order to protect your liberties. Just like if you love your right to vote, and the best thing to do is go out and vote and exercise that right. But I'm arguing with this guy. And my entire argument is, okay, well, look at them and look at this. There's no comparison. There's no comparison because violence didn't break out. In fact, I talked about one of those protests on this channel. And the media had an agenda. Oh, no, that's not what I was trying to do. The media definitely had an agenda there. And they were trying to make, and it was funny because they were trying to make these protesters seem violent. Said that a fight broke out. The worst thing that they had to say was that a fight broke out over somebody hanging a Barbie doll. You know, I mean, it was a fight. You know, somebody, who knows if even a punch landed on someone or not. Who knows? But people are being hurt seriously here. People's lives are being ruined. People's lives are in ruins right now. Lufa, I agree with you. I do believe in less government. And here's the thing. Any chance that we had to send a message towards a productive step towards that, Lufa, it's gone. It's gone. We had an opportunity. We had an opportunity here. I would have rather, what I was about to say is, I would have rather seen all of these people armed and not behave in this manner. I would have loved to see every single one of those people out there armed with a firearm and not fired one shot, just said, we're here. We are here. And you will recognize the fact that we are here. That would have been a proud day for America. We want justice for George Floyd, and you are going to listen to us. And if they had all collectively behaved rationally, the way that the COVID protesters did for the most part. Now, I'm sure, like I said in that other live, I'm sure there were some bad eggs. You know, I'm sure there were some bad eggs. There's always some bad eggs. But if we would have just seen that, man, that would have been a magical moment in history for this country. That would have been, it would have been a divine sight. It would have brought tears to my eyes. It would have gotten the world's attention. And now look at us. All we did was prove that we're not ready for that. No, Rockabilly Daisy, that's my point. I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you, Rockabilly Daisy. Right. I mean, my point is that they've proven collectively, instead of proving that we don't need that much police, they prove that we do. And that's sad. That's sad for this country. This is and it's going to get worse, guys. It's going to get worse. It's going to get nasty. It's going to get so nasty. Because what do you think a good lawyer is going to do with that autopsy report? What do you think a good lawyer is going to do with that information? If Casey Anthony is out walking the street, despite the autopsy report on Kaylee, so and that's the thing is, everybody, this is what makes it worse. I'm more and more scared because everyone's argument to me when I bring this up is they say, nah, man, the video footage, all you got to do is look at that video footage. That's enough. No, it's not. Guys, we follow true crime in this community, do we not? Come on, we know that autopsy report, that can be spun. And the defense, depending on how good of a trial lawyer that defense lawyer is going to be, well, man, that autopsy report could be their whole case. Because, guys, we understand that it is, the burden is on the prosecution to prove a case against the defense. It's not the other way around. And what's going to happen here, folks? And this is what's stupid. So if what Betsy B was telling me in her comment, if what she was telling me is true, right? Let's say there is a political agenda on the left here, from from the left on all this, right? Let's say there is a political agenda. What good is the overall outcome going to be? What are they looking to achieve here? Because what's going to end up happening is when the National Guard gets sent into these places and it becomes a federal thing, a military thing where Trump has to start making decisions, the president of the United States has to intervene and start making decisions. Do you think that's going to strengthen or weaken his campaign? Because I'm telling you right now, the majority of people want justice for George Floyd. But the fact of the matter is this isn't about George Floyd anymore. There's nothing here showing that it's about George Floyd. You've even got reporters and news stations with a liberal agenda saying this isn't about George Floyd anymore. And I'm seeing that, the quote from Trump saying, well, as soon as the looting starts, the shooting starts, and they're like, oh, what a piece of shit we have for president, blah, 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 blah. Well, okay, fair enough. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not saying he's a piece of shit and I'm not saying he's not. What I'm saying is that's what you have to focus on. But look at the behavior of people right now. If these people put together everybody, and I'm talking about everybody of every race, every nationality that's out there looting, What does the looting have to do with George Floyd? Where's the noble cause now? The noble cause is gone. This is about individual self-interest being executed in a mob. All right, good night, Breakfast Club fan. Thank you. And what if Derek Chauvin and the other 4 police officers walk? What do you think that's going to do? What do you think's going to happen? What do you think's going to happen in this country if all this is taking place simply because they took too long to put that dude in handcuffs? What do you think's going to happen when a jury acquits him? Because that could very well happen right now, people. Gail B., I agree with you. And that's what's messed up, is the police aren't the people that made a mockery of the real issue, Gail B. It's the so-called protesters that have done it. The protesters have been drowned out. The protesters have been drowned out by looters and arsonists. I'm going to tell you guys right now, I'm ashamed of my country right now. I'm ashamed of my country right now. I still love my country, don't get me wrong. I love my country. But I'm ashamed of it. I'm ashamed of its behavior at the moment, its overall behavior. And I've been ashamed of it for a while, to be honest. People getting at each other's throat. People, I mean, let's be honest, guys. Let's be honest. If this is some sort of organized thing by the far left, they're making me want to root for the right. And I don't mean the far right. I'm not talking about the racists, and I'm not talking about the idiots that wear a MAGA hat that don't even know what it means. I'm not talking about those guys. I'm talking about I see a guy in office right now. This is what I'm seeing right now, guys. And this is going to piss a lot of people off. And sorry about that, but it's the truth. But right now, what I'm seeing a man in office who is not a politician, who everyone said was not qualified to be president of the United States, dealing with situations in the United States that no president has ever had to deal with, and handling it. That's what I'm seeing. And those things, including constant attempts of sabotage on this man's presidency. It's gotten to the point where I'm rooting for him simply for being an underdog. Because let's face it, there's no candidate that I like. There's nobody politically right now that I like. I don't like him, and I damn sure don't like Biden. These are the people that this country has selected as our leaders. But guess what? Look at Look at what Trump has been dealing with. They tried to impeach him, didn't work. And it's been proven at this point that the FBI totally tried to sabotage him. Some might even say that it was an attempted coup, because their attempts were nasty and dirty and underhanded in getting this man impeached. But it didn't work. He beat that. And then we have a pandemic. And he's dealing with that. And now he's dealing with this. Now, do you after what Biden did, going on some radio show, knowing that the majority of the audience was African American, and then looking straight into his camera and saying, if you don't vote for Biden, you're not really black. Those words came out of that man's mouth. And that's what's funny, Mom for Kids. I see your comment here on why you support Trump, and everybody has the reasons why they support Trump or they support Biden, whoever. Everybody has their reasons, and that's cool. Me personally, it's funny because I lean on social issues. I definitely lean towards the left. On social issues, I definitely lean towards the left. Most of my the issues that I agree with as far as conservatives is economic issues. And you know what's really funny about that is I know dick about economics. So that should tell you something. But here I am. Now I'm at this point where I don't like cheaters. I don't like people who play dirty. And the fact of the matter is Trump has gotten to the point where he's a victim of people playing dirty against him. Now, whether you think he's a victim overall, I mean, I know he's not a perfect human being at all, and I'm not somebody who's going to sit here and talk and praise the man. But I'm telling you right now, if I'm watching this as some sort of sporting event where I don't really give a shit about either team, right? I'm rooting for the underdog. And right now, Trump's the underdog, man. And it's because the left made him that way. As far as I'm concerned, the Democratic Party is the New England Patriots of politics. That's the best way that I could describe it. And I always root against the Patriots when I'm watching football. I never root for the Patriots. I can't stand the Patriots. Bill Belichick is the Lex Luthor of the NFL as far as I'm concerned. So, this is where we're at. Because now we've got this issue, and it's definitely not the right. It's definitely not anyone with right-wing with a right-wing agenda that is doing all this damage to all these major cities. It's definitely not. But Trump's in office, and he's going to have to be the one to clean it up. So who do you think's going to end up looking like the hero here? The looters and the thieves and the arsonists? Or the guy who's in office that has to take care of it and clean up the mess? Way to go. So here you are trying to make a situation worse for the man, and all you're doing is improving his image.
Yeah, so we were out there. You know, I was out here last night. Chris Christie and I, and covering this last night. It was mainly in downtown Los Angeles at that point, but it was different. It was not as widespread. It was not as vigorous, and the fires were little bonfires in the middle of intersections, and there were only a couple of them. This is very different. We've already seen one building torched. We saw a LAPD kiosk that was torched at Nordstrom at the Grove. We have seen at least 4 police officers who've been injured. A number of police officers were injured last night, and tear gas being deployed in more areas and by at least 2 jurisdictions, LA and now it appears Beverly Hills PD have done that. We've seen looting tonight, and there was, we saw last night one Starbucks that was being looted before we went off the air, and then the crowd got cleared pretty quickly because the tactics changed. LAPD employing tactics last night where what we saw today on Melrose, where they surrounded a group of people and said, "You're all going to jail." And a lot of people dispersed, and those who were left went to jail. What we're seeing tonight is if they try to do that, it's going to be in isolated areas because it is now so widespread in so many different parts of the city that an overwhelmed LAPD may not be able to handle it all.
And I'm wondering if we have any of the video from earlier today, even that one scene where there was about 6 burned out patrol cars, or some of the action from this morning. Do we have any of that from this afternoon? Okay, we're going to get that for you. We look like, is there people sitting on the ground there? Oh, no, maybe not. It's people just standing in the middle of the intersection there.
And we're watching this along with all of you. And you see the cars that are out. There really is an effort here. This is about getting people off the street so that innocent people don't get hurt and guilty people can get caught in shorthand. If you're in a vehicle out there, you saw that vehicles were being used to transport an ATM that was ripped out of a nail salon. Somebody drove a pickup truck through it to the area to take that away. There are elements of this that appear to have organization. And as such, the police, and in order to restore order, need to get to those people who are doing the organized looting and destruction.
And this was from this morning. You see people were gathering trash bins, and they were using that as basically body shields against some of these officers. And the officers were trying to just disperse the crowd there, but they were insistent and kept those dumpsters there as protection. But watch this, sort of like.
This is Los Angeles, mom of 4
throwing
kids.
Rocks and bottles at the patrol car. There you have the people throwing at that patrol car, and it was just mayhem earlier today.
Yeah, unbelievable. And then we saw so many LA police units. I think as of now, as of one count, there were something like 11 LAPD vehicles that were destroyed, along with 1 MTA bus. We're looking now live on the left side of the screen. This is Beverly Hills, and this is, I believe, Santa Monica Boulevard, and I think Beverly, but I'm not positive. I need to get a better location for that, where we have our second Air 7 HD. They're in Beverly Hills. I just need to know where exactly, because this is a large crowd of people, and you see cars driving by. Let's, we've got the thing popped up.
Map there.
Rodeo Drive and Parkway. So this is right at the park. This is right before, I think, Little Santa Monica Boulevard here, or Santa Monica Boulevard, where a group of people have gathered, and they are out into the street. That looks to be that's a highway patrol car.
So it's Beverly and Rodeo right now.
Is that a highway patrol vehicle there, or some sort of law enforcement vehicle passing through?
Yeah, and sometimes they have a lot of private patrol.
And people are scattering
around there.
People are moving through.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're watching this along with all of you. It looks like some sort of firework was just launched.
There you go. Yep. That must be.
And so that's gives you an indication of who's left on the street at this moment. People who were protesting have gone home, and what you've got left are people who are doing this. And this is a different, it's difficult for us to cover because there is.
And there it is, folks. These reporters are basically saying that the protesters are already gone. The protesters have already packed up and left. The protesters have seen that it's gotten too dangerous. That's not what they came out there to do. And the looters and the arsonists have taken over. And when the protesters have gone, the ones who really came out there to make a difference, they were scared off. The ones who really cared about this cause, they're gone. They've packed up and gone home. They've given up. And that's really, really sad. It's a sad day for America. Because we all have a right to be angry about what happened. We all do. We all absolutely have every right to be angry. But this isn't the way. This isn't how a civilized society behaves. Lives have been ruined. Lives have been ruined, and you're trying to say that it's in the name of an innocent man's life being ruined? So you're ruining hardworking, independent people's lives in the name of an innocent man's life being taken? That doesn't make any sense. That's un-American. Now there's nothing but chaos. Now there's nothing but a mess. Now there's nothing but the rest of the world looking at us going, that's it. Yeah, that should tell you something right there too, Caleb. 5 days, day 5 of riots, military should have been deployed yesterday, overwhelming force. Well, not everybody would agree with that. Now, I think so. But the thing is the argument that I would put against that, I'm not saying that I disagree with you. What I'm saying is the argument that I would express against that is that you're acting against the protesters too, the peaceful protesters. But if the peaceful protesters are no longer around, then I think it's time for military force. Unfortunately, and I never thought I'd hear myself say that, because I don't believe in violent anarchy. I don't even necessarily believe in anarchy. What I believe in is a society that is rational and civil enough to govern itself. That's what America's based on. That's the whole idea of what took place in 1776. That was the whole idea. The whole idea was we don't need to be governed. We can govern ourselves. We can come up with an organized system to where we don't need to be ruled. And they did. And the Second Amendment was put in place just in case the people that were put into power got a little overzealous and forgot that it was a country that is meant to be run by the people, not tyranny. But now, this isn't what that is. This is something. These are thieves. There's no cause behind this action, behind these actions. There's no cause. There's no heart. There's no passion. There's nothing but greed. So for all of these people that are sitting here saying, "Oh, well, this is a protest and an act against corporate America," right? It's time we show corporate America who's boss. Well, no, you're doing exactly what you supposedly hate corporate America does. You're behaving. You're allowing your behavior to be driven by greed. That's all that is. If you're looting stores, well, you're just greedy. You're somebody who doesn't appreciate having a dream and working towards it and making an honest living. You're somebody who just has no respect for that. And that's not America. A soldier who gets deployed to fight a war, in their mind, no matter what the point of the war is. I'm not trying to say, oh, well, the Iraq war wasn't about, Saddam Hussein being a tyrant. It wasn't about Saddam Hussein being a dictator. It was about oil, and we were just trying to control the oil and blah, blah, blah. I'm not even talking about all that. Whether it was or not, that's not the point. The point is that a soldier who was deployed to go fight that war, in their mind, they were fighting for you and your rights. But they were fighting for your right to have a dream and work your ass off in order to achieve it and maintain it. Not to loot somebody with that dream. Not to destroy somebody's life who had that dream and achieved that dream. They didn't fight for your right to do that because you don't have a right to do that. You have no right to destroy someone else's livelihood. You're wrong. Dead wrong. I feel so bad for George Floyd's family right now. This must be heartbreaking for them. This must be heartbreaking for them. They had an entire country angry for his memory, ready to do everything that they could for him and his memory. And then just like that, it disappeared. The passion and the cause has gone. It's disappeared. So my prayers and my respects go out to George Floyd's family and loved ones. Guys, Thanks for joining me tonight. I love you very much. And we will do this again very soon, my friends. Thanks again.